ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our singing star, Miss Kitty Reed.
Hello world, this is Miss Kitty Reed. Kira and I are here to discuss The Road Home by Patrick E. Craig. It was published in 2014 by the author's own P&J Publishing. It is the second book in the Apple Creek Dreams series. Jenny Springer was adopted by Reuben and Jerusha Springer when the Amish couple rescued her from a snowstorm and Jerusha found her in a wrecked car. The driver was found drowned in the partially frozen pond the car was found on. Now 19 and in the 1960s, Jenny works at the public library as a genealogy research assistant. One day, a strange young man almost hits her with his bizarre van. Jonathan Hirschberger is a hippie from San Francisco. He was short on cash, so he agreed to drive a friend to a drug deal to earn some money. However, the friend tried to rip off the mafia and was shot dead as he tried to climb into Jonathan's hippie van. Jonathan flees, finding out later that he has $50,000 in a briefcase that his friend managed to take into the van before he died. Jonathan travels across the country trying to outrun the drug dealers, eventually turning off the main highway into Ohio and hiding the money in a barn. He initially plans to talk to the police, but meets Jenny instead, eventually finding out through her research that the two are very distant relatives through Jenny's Amish adoptive family, and that Jonathan has Amish ancestry. Jenny has recently become determined to find her biological parents. Her adoptive father, Reuben, is opposed to this as he wants to protect her from heartbreak. She continues to try to find leads, even though she is forbidden to do so. Jenny and Jonathan quickly fall in love, and Jenny tells her parents one night at dinner that she will find her biological parents no matter what anyone says, and that she loves an Englisher. Her father, furious, calls the church leaders. Jenny is shunned. That night, Jenny cuts her hair and leaves home. She talks to Jonathan and tells him she loves him. He agrees to take her to New York to follow through on a lead to finding her biological parents. On the way, Jonathan tells her he is being followed by drug dealers. She is quite upset, but still trusts her love for Jonathan. The drug dealers catch up with them. Jenny is kidnapped as insurance, so Jonathan will have to show the drug dealers where the money is hidden. Jenny is taken to a cabin in the Poconos. Jonathan manages to yell out to the local police, headed by Reuben's friend Bobby Halverson. When Jonathan gets free, he joins in the search for Jenny. Jenny escapes the cabin and rushes through the woods. She dislocates her ankle but has to keep going. Eventually, she is trapped in a cave, but right before the drug dealers find her, Reuben and the others save her. She's taken home and the family reconciles. Reuben says she has his full blessing to find her biological parents and will help in the search. Jenny finds that the man who died near the car where she was found was a heroin dealer in New York. Through the man's brother, they learn that Jenny and her mother were in the car when the brothers robbed a gas station. Through the man's mother, they find out that Jenny's mother's name was Rachel Borntrager. They find her luggage, which contains her diary. Jenny's mother was an Amish girl who fell in love with a rich English man. Jenny's mother got pregnant and her father kicked her out. The couple gets married and are very in love, even though neither has contact with their families. Jenny's father dies in a car accident and her mother tries to contact his family, but they refuse to see her. Homeless and alone in New York, she and Jenny sleep on the street, eventually being taken in by the brothers, who have turned to a life of crime since one became addicted to heroin after a war injury and needs money to fuel his addiction. After they rob the gas station, one brother, Jenny's mother, and Jenny live in a hotel, but Jenny's mother dies of a heroin overdose. The brother takes Jenny and flees, eventually crashing the car. He decides to leave Jenny to die, but falls into the half-frozen pond and drowns. Jenny is eventually rescued by Jerusha and adopted when no family can be found. Jenny meets her biological grandfather, who welcomes her. Jonathan wants to marry Jenny and feels at home with the Amish, so he moves in with Jenny's biological grandfather while he transitions to Amish life. They keep in touch and hope to soon marry. The end. What a wild ride! Pretty much everything you could want was in this book. We had kidnapping, drugs, conversion, adoption, secrets, hippies, police, love, Amish people, we had it all. I think some readers will really love this because it keeps the plot moving and gives you something to think about and be engaged in all the time. But some fans of traditional Amish fiction might not like all of the non-love elements and suspense involved. Fans of Harlequin's love-inspired suspense line of Christian romance suspense will enjoy this book. I did not like that Jenny and Jonathan fell in love instantly. That always bothers me. I did enjoy that all of the various elements were handled well. Surprisingly, I did not feel this was too much for one book. It was very well done. I liked that we had true emotional depth, especially with Jenny and Reuben. They were very fleshed out, and even their over-the-top emotional reactions were true to life. I hate to even mention it, but we didn't even need Jonathan in this book. The plot of familial love, especially between Jenny and Reuben, was more than enough for this book, but I had no real objections to Jonathan either. I enjoyed seeing him find himself by finding God through finding Jenny. This series has some instances of characters having direct communications with God in what could be called mystical experiences. For example, Jerusha hears the voice of God telling her that Jenny needs to uncover her past to repair wounds on her psyche she doesn't even know she has, and in the last book, Reuben has an image of Jesus speaking to him from the cross. I've never read any Amish fiction that deals with this, as I assume the Amish are not much for mysticism, and this is often a hard thing to portray in a book, but I thought it seemed very natural. You can tell the author is quite thoughtful and intentional when developing the spiritual elements of the book. As a note of interest, this is the third book I have reviewed in which an Amish girl learns she is the biological daughter of a rich English parent, the previous two being The Shunning by Beverly Lewis and Laurie's Heart by Amy Lillard. I give this book a 7 out of 7, but I think one's opinions of this book will largely be up to personal tastes. It was refreshing to have such an action-packed book, and I wonder what the final book of the series will be like. Find out for next month when we read Jenny's Choice by Patrick E. Craig. Check into getting it through your local library or interlibrary loan. This has been Amish Book Club. Happy Valentine's Day from Miss Kitty Reed and Kira.
Living in the rhythm that I'm speaking of. You'll be happy in your work if you're in love.